Hey guys, it's Joski, and I remember when I first heard that Cuphead was getting a show on Netflix. It was from a video by ValeSkibum94 in mid 2019. That was 3 years ago. Jeez. I would find the specific video, but the man literally uploads like 5 times a day, and I'm not scrolling through all that. Studio MDHR had announced on Twitter that the series had started development, and oh boy, was I excited. My second favorite video game getting an animated series, and it's a perfect fit too. Like, the game's already animated. You could record a playthrough of the game and it would pretty much be a fully animated movie. What if the series also has hand-drawn animation? What do Cuphead and Mugman sound like? I can't wait to see what bosses are going to be in it. And it's coming out in 2021. You know, that's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. But I'll tell you, 2021 was absolute hell. Every day I waited for something, a trailer, a release date, anything, but nothing came. I even resorted to watching leaked storyboards on YouTube. I felt bad about it, right? But like Cuphead, I had no self-control. I couldn't resist the sweet temptation of seeing the Cuphead Show early. That's a reference to one of the episodes later on. We'll get to that. And when that first trailer dropped in January, I must have watched it like 50 times. I was so excited. It was finally coming. I counted down every day until it came out. I checked every day for new info about the show. I even played the entire game again to just prepare myself for the absolute greatness that would be the Cuphead Show. And then it came. I immediately went to Netflix for like the first time in 4 years, watched every single episode, and okay, that's a bit harsh. I did enjoy the first season of the Cuphead Show. The animation was great, the voice acting was really good, and I love seeing more of the Cuphead universe, but I just didn't really enjoy it as much as I expected to, probably due to my admittedly bloated expectations. What I'm trying to say is, I've been following this show from its very conception, and 3 years of waiting for it kind of left me underwhelmed when I actually saw it, and it was like a just okay show. I felt as though it had a lot of missed potential, and saw it more so as a foundation for future episodes. I was more so left excited for more, rather than happy with what we got. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. While I was a bit disappointed by the first season, I was confident that the second was going to be much better, and yeah, I was right. The second season is pretty much better in every way. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Season 1. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was good, but the second is just so much better in my opinion. This is the Cuphead Show I wanted from the start, and in this video I'm going to go through all the episodes and give my thoughts along the way. Oh yeah, and there's going to be like some spoilers, obviously. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's go. Let's watch some Cuphead. The first episode picks up where the last season ended off, with Cuphead and Mugman in jail for cooking meth in Elder Kettle's basement. Get to see their shenanigans, in prison. They try to escape and fail miserably. Cuphead drops the soap in the shower. Mugman gets shanked, typical prison stuff. They have a falling out near the end, with Mugman just wanting to do his time, and Cuphead still wanting to escape, leaving Cuphead to go it alone. He fails though, and gets the fucking electric chair. Holy shit. They do eventually escape though with the help of Miss Cyclops. What a G. Miss Cyclops is such a great one-off character. I love how she can just escape at any point but just chooses not to. It's funny. This episode is funny. I really like it. It's a great starting off point for the season, picking up where the first one left off in a fun way. In the second episode, we get to see the glorious return of our girl, Miss Chalice. In the first season, she appeared in a grand total of 1 episode, which was pretty disappointing. So it's good we get to see more of her. Though even in this season, it still feels like she's underutilized. She only appears in 2 episodes this season, which is better than the first one, but still not all that much. Like, I get why she didn't appear that much in the first season. The DLC hadn't come out yet, and I just assumed that they wanted to save her until after it was released, and then she would become a major character. But no, she's only really a minor reoccurring character as of now. Maybe later on she'll become more prominent, but who knows. But anyway, Mugman's pissed at Miss Chalice, and honestly, rightfully so. She tricked him into stealing cookies, ditched them when the cops came, got them fucking arrested, didn't even visit them in prison. The only reason she shows them now is because she needs to hide from an angry mob that's trying to kill her, because of course they are. Elder Kettle lets her stay, all because she does some stupid dance. What a chump. And she stays getting into trouble too. She convinces them to steal Etterkettle's car to go to some dumb dance competition. Like, Mugman's right not to trust her. She's a bad influence. To be fair, she does come in clutch at the end where she goes ghost like she's fucking Danny Phantom or something and saves the boys from being jumped by the mob. Just decides to fuck them up instead of her. Dude, I think they just want to kill someone. Honestly, I can relate. We saw her go ghost at the end of the last season, but this is the first time Cuphead and Mugman see it, and yeah, that's pretty much the episode. Not my favorite episode of the season, but I still liked it. The parts with the angry mob are pretty funny, and I like how it expanded on Miss Chalice as a character. Also, Hildeberg appears for like 3 seconds in this episode. I don't like this. It just feels like she's just there to be like, oh god, guys, look, it's a boss from the game, and there's really no point to it. But now, it's time to get to the good stuff. Season 2, Episode 3, A High Seas Adventure. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I was surprised to see this episode, including the intro and credits, was 25 minutes long as opposed to like the usual 14 minutes, and oh boy, was it worth it. I love this episode, definitely my favorite of the show so far. Not only is it longer than the average episode, but we get a 2-for-1 special in the boss department, with Captain Brineybeard and everyone's favorite mermaid waifu, Cala Maria. Damn, boy! The brothers sneak aboard a pirate ship that turns out to be owned by Captain Brineybeard, who takes him along on his quest to find his girlfriend. He even sings like a nice little sea shanty about the sweets he's gonna give her. This and the other song later on the episode are the only real music numbers in the season, which I find kind of odd when the first season had more. I like the songs though, they feel like a callback to old cartoons, which a lot of them had songs in them, so it fits the vibe of the show. Brineybeard's crush ends up being Cala Maria because, of course it is. Why is everyone so horny for this mermaid bitch? Like, jeez. I was personally never really into Cala Maria. Mangosteen is way hotter, but I really like her role as the antagonist in this episode. The build up to her is really good with like the live action models. We even get to see a miniature Cuphead and Mugman. They're like so cute. I love how they brought back like the stop motion models. It's one of my favorite things from the first season and really pushes the old timey cartoon vibe. Also, just a really cool effect in general, like when they mix it with the 2D animation characters, it's really cool looking. But when we finally see her and she rises out of the water, it's so awesome. I think she has my favorite integration of a boss in the entire show so far. She doesn't reciprocate Brineybeard's love though, and instead wants to kill him. But that doesn't stop Brineybeard, cause he's a simp. There, I said it. Am I funny now? Cala Maria turns Brineybeard into stone, and the gang end up washed on shore, carrying the stone Brineybeard the rest of the way. There's one point Mugman accidentally drops him and breaks off his legs, and they have to replace him with like peg legs. This explains why Brineybeard has 2 peg legs in the game. It was all Mugman's fault. This is why I never play as you. Also, the face Mugman makes of the legs that wash away is hilarious. It made me laugh for like a solid 20 seconds. I like the crazy facial expressions in the series. They're a lot better in this one, with Mugman definitely getting the best ones. I feel like the visuals in general are used more effectively here. The first season, I feel like relied too much on visual humor, which isn't a bad thing. I wish they had more funny dialogue as well. This season definitely has funnier dialogue, and the visuals are used to further amplify jokes, while also providing good visual humor on its own as well. As a balance, you know. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Mugman also sword fights the giant enemy crab. He's kind of a badass, honestly. Maybe I'll actually start playing as him in the game. Nah, Cuphead all the way. They eventually make it to Cala Maria herself, who is singing a song starting with her father being a sailor and her mother being a fish. Like, are we not going to talk about how her dad fucked a fish? Okay. Her voice is not quite what I expected. She apparently has a Russian accent. Well, when I watched it, I thought it was like a Spanish Mexican or something. I don't know. Not really all that well versed in my accents. I mean, her last name is Maria, which is like Spanish, I think. Anyway, I like her voice. I like her song too. She sings about being a violent sea beast, like Slay Queen, literally. And of course, being a violent sea beast, she wants to devour our heroes, but with the power of horniness, Brineybeard manages to break out of the stone. Cala Maria's not into him though, and still wants to devour them. I mean, like, what can I say? She really wants semen in her mouth. Get it? Semen? I am so sorry. They managed to escape, though it's a shame, honestly. It would have been pretty hot if they got bored, but I guess they always said fanfiction. This is the perfect episode of the Cuphead Show. It has a fun plot, includes the bosses in a really good way, and has a great sense of humor. I don't know what else to say. It's a banger. And for the next episode, we have another banger, Another Brother. Another banger, another brother. I didn't even plan that, it all just fell into place. Cuphead and Mugman have an argument and decide to get a divorce and go see other people, with Cuphead getting with... Yeah, Bold Boy, the one-off character from Handle with Care in the first season.
Nobody asked you, Bold Boy!
But all that cocaine he started doing really got to him, and now he's completely insane. Like, seriously, I thought Bold Boy was gonna be like a character like Butters in South Park, but no, the man's just a total lunatic.
I want to learn from you, Cuphead, and be just like you, Cuphead, and become you, Cuphead.
What the fuck? He's terrifying. Season 2 has like a much creepier tone overall than the first one, and I really like that personally. This is the dash of heebie-jeebies the intro was talking about. A bit more than a dash, I would think. The brothers, of course, make up in the end, which is sweet, and Bold Boy dies, only to come back as a doctor, because Bold Boy can never die. He's some sort of immortal being, and will never be free from the clutches of Bold Boy. This episode isn't super substantial, but it definitely makes up for it by just being really funny, with most of the humor, of course, coming from Bold Boy.
I'm a wild little bull.
Every line this character said made me laugh out loud, with his like weird high-pitched voice and uncomfortable facial expressions. Like seriously, if there's ever another Cuphead DLC, Bold Boy should be the final boss. Put Bold Boy in the game, cowards. Sweet Temptations, another boss-focused episode, with that boss in question being Baroness von Bonbon. That was my Baroness von Bonbon impression. Eat all the sweet treats you desire. That's so bad, I'm sorry. Anyway, Cuphead is a candy slut with no self-control and eats all of Mugman's Halloween candy like a fucking animal. As opposed to Mugman, who eats a singular piece of chocolate like the gentleman he is. So yeah, Mugman's of course pissed and kicks him out. Cuphead then stumbles upon Sugarland and meets Baroness von Bonbon. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I love how Sugarland looks, especially in the scene with like the stop motion background. It's so good. I just want to lick my TV screen. I also love how the Baroness herself is characterized in this episode. From the beginning, she gives off like a really creepy vibe with that voice and her slightly too energetic personality, like she's hyped up on sugar, which I suppose is thematically appropriate. And again, the facial expressions too, they help amplify her insanity even more. Still got nothing on Bold Boy though. She gives him 2 rules: tell no one about Fight Club and don't eat her castle, which Cuphead and Mugman both of course end up breaking. But it turns out it was a trap. Sugarland, not her. So she can turn them into candy and eat them. Like, talk about candy in the van. Bitch is literally a child predator. She chases them in her castle just like in the game, and I really like that touch, but Gummy Head and Cookie Man managed to escape being bored yet again. But at the end, they end up being bored by Elder Kettle anyway. What the hell is with Cuphead and Vor? Why is this such a recurring theme? The ice cream, man. This is an episode akin to Another Brother, where it's not really substantial, but just really funny. Mugman fakes having coronavirus so he can stay home and jack off to a book about him making out with his mermaid waifu, like the true man of culture he is. So yeah, apparently it's canon now that Mugman likes Cala Maria. Also, is it just me or are her boobs bigger in this fantasy than they were in person? Or am I just paying too much attention to animated titties at a kids show? Jesus Christ, I need to go touch some grass. So Mugman's trying to smash, but he keeps getting cockblocked by this dumbass ice cream man. He keeps playing his ice cream music and killing the mood, and has a crooked hat that really pisses off Mugman for some reason. He keeps coming back until Mugman reaches his limit and tells the ice cream man to go piss off, of course after attempting to murder him with an ice cream cone. This is the kind of dark humor I really like in this season, which I feel wasn't really there in the first one. If you look into it, Cuphead can be a pretty messed up game, so I'm glad it's finally being portrayed in the show too. But after his waifu dubs his ass for being so very cruel to the ice cream man, he goes to apologize, but it turns out the ice cream man is a psychopath who tries to run over Mugman with his truck. Why is every single character in the show a fucking lunatic? But it turns out the ice cream man just wanted to show Mugman his slightly smaller hat. I guess this guy really isn't evil after all. But then he fucking goes and spoils Mugman's entire book. I guess he is evil. Here we get what might be my favorite scene in the entire show, where Mugman goes crazy and FNAF jump scares his ass. I really like this episode mostly because of the humor. Mugman is a great and entertaining character, probably my favorite in the show. Too bad I'll never play as him in the game. You're not that cool, Mugman, calm down. Piano Lesson has an appearance from Ludwig, an NPC from the game. Never liked this guy, he's such a douche. He changes like the overall music to a piano version of the song, which in every case is worse than the original version. Fuck this guy. In the show, he's Mugman's piano teacher. Oh, I'm sorry. Mugman's piano teacher. But he must not be doing a good job because Mugman fucking sucks. Can't even play chopsticks. I don't even play piano and I can play chopsticks. But of all people, Cuphead actually turns out to be the one who's gifted at the piano. And Ludwig ditches Mugman to enter Cuphead in the competition. This obviously upsets Mugman, but with him being the level-headed brother, I'm sure he resolves this in a civilized manner.
Cuphead can't play in the recital if it doesn't have any hands.
And then Mugman's final solution is to, of course, murder Cuphead with a falling piano at the recital. Holy shit, I didn't know Mugman was about that life. In this season, we can see Mugman as a dark side, and honestly, I think it makes him a much funnier character. But it all works out in the end. Ludwig ditched Cuphead and played a song at the recital like the douchebag he is, and the piano fell on him instead. He is actually dead. Mugman has canonically murdered somebody. This was the first episode where I kind of felt as though it was just alright. It's not bad, but it's just really nothing special. I'm not dying to rewatch it like I am with some of the other episodes. The next episode, Release the Demons, though, is a really good episode. There, weirdly enough, aren't many devil episodes in the season, which is kind of odd considering that's like the main storyline, but at least this one is really good. The devil's not having it that Cuphead still has a soul and summons his finest demons to get his soul. Unfortunately for him, though, he kills his finest demons, and his second finest demons, and he's left with his third finest demons, which are all comedically bad. King Dice also appears in this episode for the only time in the season, which is disappointing. I thought we would see more of him after only appearing once in season 1, but I guess not. While this is happening, Cuphead and Mugman go to a hay maze so Cuphead can prove he isn't scared of some like horse head from when they were babies. Also, baby Cuphead and Mugman, they are adorable. Look at Cuphead, dude. And even as a toddler, the man has like such a swagger to him. The demons follow them into the maze, where King Dice proceeds to kill all of them to maintain his spot as number 1.
Yeah!
So stuff like this really makes me wish you had more of him. He's a really entertaining character, but I guess we can only hope that there's more of him in season 3. All the demons fail, of course, because they all suck, so the devil brings in the big boys, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but even they fail to capture them. The devil then goes to Cuphead's house himself, but is informed by Stickler that it's been more than 30 days, and therefore Cuphead's debt has expired. With Cuphead's soul debt expired, he doesn't really have to worry about the devil anymore, so I'm interested to see what they do with it. Is Cuphead gonna sell the soul again, or is the devil just gonna try to take it anyway? Guess we just have to wait and see. Like in A High Seas Adventure, this episode is a bit longer than the average one, which I think helps it feel more grand. The humor is also really good, especially with the comically bad designs for the third finest demons. It's also an episode which progresses the overarching story. There aren't all that many story episodes in this season, but I'm honestly glad they aren't putting too much of an emphasis on the big overarching story. I'm not personally a big fan of story-driven shows. I much prefer episodic comedies like the show is now, so I hope the main focus doesn't become the story and it stays structured the way it is, with mostly normal episodes with like a story one every now and then. I feel like heavy story-driven cartoons are kind of oversaturated as of now, so it's nice to just have a fun, goofy cartoon like the Cuphead Show, and hopefully it stays that way. In Dead Broke, the boys meet up with Chalice again, and go to get some ice cream from the Ice Cream Man, who somehow survived Mugman's wrath. We don't have any money though, I guess you could say they're dead broke.
Pay us.
So Miss Chalice starts an OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. They go and scam people out of the money. So it's kind of like OnlyFans, I guess. Miss Chalice goes as a ghost into people's houses and haunt them, and Cuphead and Mugman pretend to be ghost catchers and pretend to catch her. They then demand payment for the services. They then stumble upon an actual haunted house with these Toucan Sam looking at us old ghost ladies that are trapped in paintings that Miss Chalice accidentally releases. Cuphead and Mugman think that the ghosts are Miss Chalice, so they find out that Chalice is trapped in a painting Luigi's Mansion style. We then get a pretty cool fight scene where the Cups and Ghost Ladies try to trap each other in the paintings before the stroke of midnight. The Cups of course prevail, and the bird ghost women are trapped for another 100 years, along with their buddy. So it was all for nothing. Should've just done OnlyFans. In Rats All Folks, we get an appearance from the boss of Werner Vermin from the game. He's snuck into the house, and now Cuphead and Mugman have to catch him, with Werner constantly outsmarting them. This episode reminded me so much of Tom and Jerry, which makes sense considering that Werner Vermin's boss fight has a lot of references to Tom and Jerry. Eventually, Elder Kettle gets involved too, and he goes to such extreme lengths to get rid of this rat, destroying the entire cottage in the process. While this wasn't one of my favorite episodes, it's still pretty good with some funny moments. My favorite being Mugman trying to seduce Werner with cheese. Like, damn, look at all those holes. There's also a part where Werner threatened to blow up Cuphead and Mugman with dynamite, which is kind of morbidly funny. I also quite like Werner himself. He was one of my favorite bosses in the game, so I'm glad he was chosen to be in the show. We get to see different aspects of his boss fight, like his soup can and other contraptions that he makes. Doesn't get bored by a cat though. I am mentioning bore way too much in this video. Episode 11, Family Pictures, kind of a meh episode to me. I just kind of felt unfocused, you know. It starts with Elder Kettle wanting to take a family photo, the Cuphead and Mugman finding out about Diaper Baby, a picture of Elder Kettle when he was a baby. And then Kettle tries to get the camera back from the boys before they print the picture out, with them ending up breaking the camera. This episode just kind of shows how dysfunctional this family is. Cuphead and Mugman literally blackmail the grandfather with a picture, and Elder Kettle tries to kill them with a fire poker. Cuphead and Mugman also argue a lot in this episode. They argue a lot throughout the entire season actually, but in other cases it doesn't really annoy me all that much. Their clashing personalities are a recurring theme, and we get to see why they argue and the episodes build up to it. In this episode though, they just kind of argue for no reason, and it's just kind of annoying. There are some funny moments though, like when Elder Kettle does a Family Guy death pose that turns into a fucking spider with literally no smear frames, so it's crawling around. That was good. And there's also the end where they get their family photo, which turns out to be a mugshot. Yeah, mugshot.
I don't get it.
But overall, a pretty meh episode. Same thing with Lost in the Woods. I didn't really care for this one. It was just kind of boring, with not a lot of standout moments. In fact, this is probably my least favorite episode in the season. After Cuphead launches all their firewood into the air with firecrackers, they go to the woods to find more. But Cuphead is a bit of trolling and launches their axes and compass into the air with firecrackers. Now the brothers are lost in the woods, and they have yet again another argument and split up to survive on their own. Cuphead becomes a feral animal, while Mugman builds a log cabin to survive the winter. The episode is another example of the clashing personalities of Cuphead and Mugman, with the Mugman being responsible and planning for the future, and Cuphead, well, I mean, his catchphrase is, I ain't too worried about it. Cuphead's kind of a dick in this episode. He's the reason why they had to go in the woods in the first place, and he's the one who got the loss. He even took Mugman's log cabin and locked him outside. I saw that a lot of people actually ended up hating Cuphead after this episode, and while I don't hate him, even I started to get a bit annoyed. Whoa! Okay, one more. The Devil's Pitchfork. The Devil has a day out to blow off some steam after someone wrote a bad Yelp review of him, with the Devil's definition of blowing off steam being torturing innocent civilians. Fair enough, I guess. We all relax in different ways. But while he was out, he, gasp, left his pitchfork, with Cuphead and Mugman finding it shortly after. They of course decided to fuck around with this weapon of mass destruction and have some fun, like destroying the entire local ecosystem and eating spaghetti. The devil eventually realizes he left his pitchfork, but when he gets back to it, it's too late. He eventually tracks him down and demands Cuphead give him his pitchfork back, accidentally revealing to him that his soul debt expired. After Cuphead refuses to give up the pitchfork, the devil takes Mugman hostage and brings him down to the underworld, leaving the season off on a cliffhanger, just like the first one. This episode was fine, but it just feels incomplete, probably because the story will be finished in the next season, but as of now, it's just an alright episode. So yeah, those are all the episodes in Season 2. If I had to rank them all from worst to best, it would probably be Lost in the Woods, The Devil's Pitchfork, Family Photo, Dead Broke, Piano Lessons, Charmed and Dangerous, Rats Off Folks, Sweet Temptation, Jailbroken, Release the Demons, Another Brother, Ice Cream Man, and of course High Seas Adventure. Sure, there were some meh ones, but overall I think the episode selection is really good. A lot better than the first season, I would say. The biggest improvement for me is the humor. I don't know what it is, maybe they got new writers or something, but the episodes of this season are just like a lot funnier than the first one. Season 1 had a share of funny moments, but I feel like it's just too basic, like the writing was like any old kid show. Season 2 on the other hand has a lot darker and more subtle humor in it, which I really like. There are plenty of times I can think of where I actively laughed out loud. I also like how they included more bosses from the game, with Briny Beard, Calamaria, Baroness von Bonbon, and Werner Vermin. Also, it just mirrors the animation better in this season, with the physics for things like the liquid in Cuphead and Mugman's head, their straws, Calamaria's titties, just feel like a bit more fluid, you know? But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Cuphead Show Season 2. All I have to say now is, Where the hell's season 3, huh? It's been like a week. I need more Cuphead. I can't live without Cuphead. I want to learn from you, Cuphead. I want to be just like you, Cuphead, and become you, Cuphead. I'm sorry. That's the end of the video. Bye.